Good morning. Welcome to the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. All who come in the spirit of goodwill are welcome here. And whether you're here for the first time today or you've been coming for years, whether you're here in person or on Zoom, and no matter your age, we are just so glad that you're here. So let's begin to come into this shared space by just all taking a deep breath together. We probably could use one more. Thank you, that's super helpful to me. I'm Carrie Kenline, and I'll be leading this service along with Stephanie Haynes. And we've got a lot of musical support from Sue Livingston, Jocko Tenhove, and Pam Graham. We're now in our summer worship service series, and that's a time when our minister is away a lot of the time, and we have a lot of guest speakers, many of which are from our own congregation, and that's true of us, all of us who are part of this service today. In a few moments, Stephanie will be sharing about our service today, our focus of connecting with nature in the summer. But I have a few announcements first. First of all, next week is the Gay Pride Parade, and Buffsters, as we sometimes call ourselves, who would like to join the Pride Parade can reach out to Grace Nyblade, who is wearing a headband with pom-pom antennae over there. So she's easily spottable. You can reach out to her or meet at 10:45 next Sunday, July 9th at Waypoint Park. Can't wait to celebrate with you. On a serious note, lots of us here at Buff are concerned about recent Supreme Court decisions related to abortion, LGBTQ people, and affirmative action. The Black Lives Matter team invites you to participate in discussions in response to those decisions starting next Sunday after the service. All views are welcome. And I also want to just mention that I'm hoping that those of you that are here did stop at the table outside the door and pick up a natural object that you'll be communing with later. For those of you who are on Zoom, I invite you to find something, some kind of natural object that you can have near you during the service. And now, Sue and Jocko will share our prelude for the morning, a song by Peter Mayer called "Everything is Holy Now."
On Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses struck the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. And now I can't keep track everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath, 'cause I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-downs. Now I walk with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. Used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-downs. Now I walk with a reverent air, 'cause everything is whole, and everything is whole now.
Good morning. Welcome to summer. Thank you, Sue. I asked her to play that, and I love that she was willing, and it almost always makes me cry. I've started to learn that tears are a signal of holiness, and communing is a form of prayer or meditation where I get to notice and connect with the holiness in the world around me. And sometimes it's a form of self-care, especially when there's a lot going on in the world that's hard to deal with. So communing is a way to connect with some of the good stuff. Carrie and I offered a service in the winter on communing, and we got a lot of great feedback. So we decided to offer this service close to the summer solstice, which is a fabulous holiday. The longest day of the year, all that light. And so you might think communing is easy in this summer season, but summer can be filled with so much busyness. Activities and projects. Anybody out there relate to all the things that you're supposed to be doing in the summer? So it can feel challenging to slow down and focus our attention on some small or big part of the natural world, even for a few minutes. Since Carrie and I commune together sometimes and are still discovering how to do it, we want to share some of our learnings with you today, even though we're not experts. For example, based on our experience, we recommend having a communing buddy, someone who can help the experience to happen, because you get it on your calendar when you make a date with your buddy, and it deepens the experience to share it with someone. We think, or we're learning, that there are two essential ingredients to a communing practice: intention and attention. Communing requires a shift of attention, and it helps greatly to have a deliberate intention to do that. That said, we don't want it to feel hard. We invite you to relax and practice doing it with us today. We hope that you will be inspired to enjoy a little bit of communing this summer that involves loving the earth and finding holiness, like Peter Mayer talks about in that lovely song. We're going to start by singing a very familiar song, and so we'd like you to stand as you're able and join together to sing Peace Like a River.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river.
We're going to honor trees as we light the chalice this morning. What trees have been important in your life? We're going to be inviting you to think about significant aspects of the natural world throughout this service today. So we're starting with trees. I'm thinking of a huge curly willow in front of my yard, in my front yard, that's become very important to me. This is a poem by Mary Oliver that kind of encapsulates a lot of what we're talking about today. When I am among the trees. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches and they call again. "It's simple," they say, "and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine." It's simple, they say. You too have come into the world to do this. Go easy, be filled with light, and shine. And now we light our flaming chalice to kindle our connection with each other and with the trees and with all the gifts of this world. And let's stand as you're able, and we will recite our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we offer for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant. So next, we're going to do something fun that is a focus for the children, but I hope everyone plays with it with me. So we're going to try becoming trees. So as you're able, stand, and sitting will work just fine, but it's important to have your feet on the ground, whether you're sitting or standing. So, all of the children can be trees too, if they want to. We're going to start by planting our feet a comfortable distance apart and practice growing some roots. So just close your eyes and imagine that your feet have roots extending deep into the earth, and they hold you firmly in place. And now grow from those roots a tree trunk, just a sturdy tree trunk that is very connected to those roots and your feet. And when you're ready, you can grow a couple of branches. Loose and comfortable. They can go sideways or upright. And don't strain. These are not stiff, hard branches. These are tree branches that are yours. And let them begin to move a little bit. And see if you get a sense of whether you have needles or leaves. And you might get a picture of a particular tree that you are similar to. But don't analyze it. Don't strain. This is a simple noticing what it might be like to be a tree. And let a gentle wind move through your branches to see what movement feels like in your tree. And if it's easier, just close your eyes for just a few seconds to get a sense of the wholeness of your tree. And let your branches down whenever you need to. But take just a little bit of time to notice what you might like about being a tree. If you were a tree, what would be inviting or appealing about that? And now you can bring your branches down, bring all your energy back down to your feet, and find a comfortable sitting position that brings that tree energy with you for the rest of our service or the rest of your day. You can walk around with a little tree energy inside of you. So that's just an example of the playing we're going to invite you to today. And now we're going to sing the children out. And we invite you to take your natural object with you if you want to, and maybe talk about it or play with it, or stay and enjoy the whole rest of the service. But let's sing the...
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go. Or stay. I think the ones that were going already went. All right. So just as a way of settling in a little more into this communing space, we're going to do a bit of a chanting song that invites you. I love that this song invites you to lay down burdens, even ones you don't know you're carrying. And is it up on the screen? Yeah. Just simple words. And I want you to we've just been trees, and feel free to embody this song a little bit as we sing it. You can do that sitting or standing or dancing or whatever feels right to you. I'm looking at Mark. You are probably going to dance, aren't you? But everybody's welcome to. And would you start? Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the As you heard a few minutes ago, Stephanie and I have been making a regular practice of communing with the natural world, stilling ourselves enough to come more deeply into relationship with a willow or a buttercup, to come into a little more presence with some representative of nature, and to remember that there are portals all around us, entry points into deep connection to ourselves and to the whole interconnected web of life. Sometimes I struggle a bit with communing. I can be distracted and scattered, too much in my head and tied up with human matters. Or on the flip side, I can be too intent on trying to extract wisdom from nature instead of softening and opening to what's before me. Finding my way to a place of true communing is a practice that takes a little time, intention, attention, and surrender. And I believe it matters. Sometimes what emerges feels brilliantly helpful. Like the day we visited Big Rock Garden, I felt so unsettled. Then, communing with the unfurling ferns and bursting blossoms and the remains of a bald, bumpy tree, I learned that they were all unsettled too. And they didn't seem to think it was a problem. And that settled something in me. But sometimes communing just quietly opens up little pathways of presence and pondering. Here's a little journaling I did after spending time with some tall, gangly buttercups in Stephanie's garden. I noticed that some plants are better at sharing than others. Some are more invasive, even pretty ones like buttercups and morning glories. Is it bad that they want to grow and keep on growing? I don't object to that tendency in a sequoia tree, which wants to grow extremely big, but still manages to put forth such a generous energy. What happens when beings feel weeded out and cast aside and labeled? Does that make them want to forcefully take over? I notice there is a part of my brain that wants to divide things into good and bad, and a part that just wants to look out at tall, gangly buttercups blowing in the breeze and admire their buttery blossoms and their tenacity. Communing is important to me as a human being who's trying to grow in my humanity. As a Unitarian Universalist, I resist anything that pretends to have the one true answer or the definitive rules for living. I believe in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. I want that search to include opening to the wisdom of trees that have been around for thousands of years, rocks that have seen it all, weeds that are tenacious, flowers that blossom and fade in one day, and oceans that are forever ebbing and flowing. When I commune with the natural world, no one is trying to manipulate me, use me, sell me anything. I step into the trustworthiness of beings that are fully themselves. And when I can shift gears enough to be present with them, I always feel welcomed, as if I truly am part of the interconnected web of existence. The Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Only when we've truly fallen back in love with the earth will our actions spring from reverence and the insight of our interconnectedness." Communing is one practice that can help us to fall back in love with the earth and engage with her reverently. And I can't think of anything more important than making that shift in our hearts, our minds, and our actions. So now let me just stop talking about it and invite you into some communing. So I want to invite you to bring out the rock or flower or shell or whatever you chose on your way in, or whatever you've got there at home that you're choosing to commune with. And know that what you're holding is part of the world, part of the vast, complex, deeply intelligent interweaving of ecosystems. Maybe it is long-lived and has seen many summers come and go. Maybe it's of a more fleeting nature, seeing only one summer or one day in its brief existence. No matter what its age, its nature, and pacing, it holds the possibility of connection to the wild, to the real, to the true. So now I would like to invite you to practice being present without agenda or the pressure of expectations. Begin by closing your eyes if that's comfortable for you and taking 3 slow, deep breaths. Drawing the breath in and then exhaling long and slow. Notice again what you're holding in your hand, how heavy or light it feels. Notice its textures. Bring it to your nose and breathe it in. Notice if it has a fragrance, blatant or subtle. Even rocks can have a fragrance. Now gently open your eyes and look at what you're holding through a softened gaze. Notice its colors, shading, and patterns. As you deepen in your noticing, notice that there's no need to analyze, interpret, or label. Just linger. If what you're holding is silent and still, let it be a guide for you into deeper silence and stillness. I invite you to open to the possibility that something may want to be shared between you. Maybe you just want to share silence together, but you could share a secret, a worry, a question. Maybe you can receive a message of some kind. Nothing need be forced or contrived. Now, as Sue plays, let there be an opening for whatever wants to happen. We've just dipped briefly into the communing space, and I invite you to thank this being of the natural world for your encounter. What do you want to remember from this time of communing? You may want to say it to yourself in your mind. You may want to share it with someone after the service. Now, look around the room with a softened gaze, and just to remember that you're surrounded by others who have also been communing in their own way with some representative of the natural world. We've entered a communing space together, and notice how that feels, how that changes things. Whatever you chose to commune with, you can keep it near you for the rest of the service and take it home if you like, or send it back out into the world, whatever feels right, or give it to somebody. Notice, and now, just to kind of gently emerge from this, I want to invite one more chanting song, which again, I want to invite you to embody any way that feels right to you. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind, life is changed, love remains all the time. From the eagle in the sky to the fish in the sea, to the great grandmothers watching over me. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind. Life is changed, love remains all the time. From the eagle in the sky to the fish in the sea, to the great grandmothers watching over me. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind. Life is changed, love remains all the time. From the eagle in the sky to the fish in the sea, to the great grandmothers watching over me. Gentle heart, gentle soul, gentle mind. Life is changed, love remains all the time.
One of the things I like to do as part of communing is some writing, and we didn't want to insist on that, but it is something I recommend. Every single time I commune, I think, why don't I do this more often? Why not every day? Of course, there are so many reasons. The busy world occupies so much of my attention. And then there's bugs, or smoke, or too much heat, or rain, or too many people, or fireworks. There's a lot of distraction, especially in the city. I'm going to talk some about strategies for overcoming those obstacles that get in the way. My friend Ruth Bates, who wrote this lovely book we talked about in the winter called Wild Communion, Experiencing Peace in Nature and Discovering Forest Bathing. I recommend it because there's a lot of tips and suggestions and examples of her writing. Ruth introduced me to communing more than 25 years ago, and we still commune nearly every time we get together. It's a very special connection with her and then with the earth. I asked her recently for some tips on communing in the summer, and here are some of the suggestions we came up with together. Number one, set an intention to commune and put it on your calendar, even if it's for 20 minutes, half an hour, 10 minutes. It's not unlike a meditation practice. If you can build it into your life, it's so much more likely to happen. Think ahead of time about what your body needs in order to sit or walk quietly for a little while. It might be one of those portable chairs. You might need sunscreen, a hat, bug spray, shelter from the wind, smoke, direct sun, etc. But think about your body ahead of time, because if you don't, when you get out there, or even if it's just, nearby, if you don't have a place that allows you to be free of distractions from your bodily needs, it will not happen. Consider that you don't need to go far, and you don't need a huge chunk of time. Identify ahead of time a few places that are easy to get to, maybe even a corner of your yard or a nearby park. It's kind of a fun walk to take, is a walk in your neighborhood where you're looking for a place you could come back to with a little portable chair or a little time for communing. Begin with some kind of ritual. An example, simple, easy to keep in your head. Acknowledge 5 things that you see that you haven't noticed before. 4 sounds, 3 smells, and then touch something and notice its texture. Using sensory awareness is a powerful tool to create that shift in attention. If your favorite communing spots are crowded in the summer, like our beautiful parks tend to be, you could consider going early or late in the day. Communing at night is a really powerful experience. How many of you saw the moon last night, for example? That is a fabulous way to take a few minutes to commune. Finally, you don't need fancy equipment, a mountaintop, or a spectacular view. Communing with a weed, like Carrie did with her, what was it called? Buttercup. Oh, yes. It's hard to remember that you could commune with the buttercup that you're pulling out of your yard, but you could. It can be profound to just take what's nearby and let it talk to you, or let it just be with you. I'm going to share a pantoum. Some of us have been writing pantoums. Some of you know about them. It's just a poetry form, and it's a way that I like to use for communing because it focuses the writing. I wrote this after communing with my garden from inside my house. I'm not recommending that necessarily, but sometimes that's what works. So here's my little pantoum about my garden. Look what's happening in my garden. Overnight, the potato plants have blossomed with tiny orchid-like pink and purple flowers. I want my roots to be deep and nourishing like those potatoes. The California poppies are a glorious riot of color. My own glorious aliveness feels elusive today. I want my roots to be deep and nourishing like those potatoes. Snap peas and sweet peas intertwine like loving companions. My own glorious aliveness feels elusive today. Spending time with companions who cherish each other helps me feel more alive. Snap peas and sweet peas intertwine like loving companions. Basil and tarragon bring bright flavor to our breakfast eggs. Spending time with companions who cherish each other helps me feel more alive. I am nourished by the natural world right outside my door. The California poppies are a glorious riot of color. Basil and tarragon bring bright flavor to our breakfast eggs. I am nourished by the natural world right outside my door. Overnight, the potato plants have blossomed with orchid-like pink and purple flowers. I think what we're doing next is the offertory, right? Yeah. At this point in the service, we give you an opportunity to contribute financially to the work of this congregation. One of the things about communing is that it involves gratitude. It really involves paying attention to what we're grateful for in the natural world, in each other, in this congregation this morning. I'd like you to think about what you might be especially grateful for here. The staff, this building, this service, this gathering of people who came here this morning, and the values embodied here and in the wider community. How important it is that we have each other. Give as you are able in gratitude for what you value. If you are on Zoom, you will see a slide showing how you too can contribute. We have a beautiful pianist, beautiful person, and beautiful piano playing, who is going to play during the offertory, and I'm inviting you to consider a special place on the earth that you might visit in your mind while we're listening to this beautiful piece. So there we go.
If you didn't quite identify it, that was Mother Nature's Son by the Beatles. So appropriate. Thank you so much for all you give to this fellowship and to the community. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our tech team, Jeff Copeland, Quinn Williams, Jim Reimer, and Albert Snow, and to Stephanie and Sue and Jocko and Pam for just all their collaborative abilities and how delightful it's been to play with you. Our closing words come from David Suzuki. The way we see the world shapes the way we treat it. If a mountain is a deity, not a pile of ore, if a forest is a sacred grove, not timber, if other species are biological kin, not resources, or if the planet is our mother, not an opportunity, then we will treat each other with greater respect. This is the challenge, to look at the world from a different perspective. We extinguish this chalice and return to our lives, remembering our connection to each other and to this planet we call home. Thank you so much for being here, and let's now join together for our closing song, Circle Round for Freedom.